What's up, everybody? It's your boy Keefy here. Welcome to another Ghost Cult Mad live stream here on Monday, the Monday before Christmas. And we are just rocking and rolling here, doing the thing every day. Rock and metal news coverage 24/7, 365 since 2012. Ghost Cult is your everyday resource for news, interviews, album reviews, concert and festival reviews, drama, some geek stuff, and the whole nine yards. Hanging out on a Monday. Had an interesting day. Just absolutely interesting stuff today. And I thought, it's going to be a slow news week. Maybe I can fit in some other streams and talk about some other stuff. And then this story popped up with Slayer. I had something else planned. And then, of course, Kerry King cannot help himself. We'll talk about why in a second. The best experience for this live stream is always thanks to the grace of our affiliate partners, StreamYard, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and I'm on TikTok also. Feel free to drop us a comment. Dillinger Compounds here. I know. Not again, you know, I appreciate that you're pushing hard for Piron. Piron keeps popping up in these live streams and these things. Dillinger Compound is here on YouTube. Thank you so much, pal. We'll get to that in a second. I do, there's a lot of bands. My personal picks are not very heavy in the Ghost Cult voting. We ran our albums of the year today after much hype all weekend. And shout out to everybody involved, including my partner Omar Cordy, who edited the crazy video of seven of us like chopping it up and talking about stuff. I found out that I'm really much better as a moderator than I am as a talking head when it's just me. So fun stuff. But yeah, we're going to talk about Slayer. But yeah, we'll talk about the album of the year stuff a little bit too. And anything else you guys want to talk about, please feel free to give us a donation. The greatest nation is donation. If you're on YouTube, Super Chat or Super Thanks or Super Likes or whatever they're called now, you can buy us a coffee on Ko-fi on our website, on our homepage. We take PayPal. We're just trying to keep the lights on, buy more vinyl, do more cool things, do all the things. So yeah, we'll talk about album of the year stuff. I was going to actually do like a post-mortem on the album of the year stuff. A lot of people are joining in on the tick of the talk. Slap Smash is here. Sony Sluss is here. Cheryl is here. Eric is here. JMK29 is here. James Marsh. Hello to all. So yeah, and we'll try to keep it kosher here on all the things. Flack is here, and Stephanie Montoya over on Instagram. All right, 2 everydayers already. Super stoked. Imperial Avenue is here. Hello. So why are we here today? We are here because, again, Kerry King cannot help himself. Slayer just completed a tour of Australia and I think New Zealand, possibly. Trans Outlaw is passing by. Good friend of Ghost Cult, a former Ghost Cultist, and maybe again someday. You never know. Hope you're well. Miss you. Irons 201 is here. Larry Adams is here. So, yeah, I wanted to jump on and talk about this. Kerry's been touring and giving some interviews. And again, for those that were unaware in 2024 of all the reunions that happened, God forbid, Shadows Fall, many bands reunited as an entity, and Slayer ended their 5-year retirement. Oh, you're too kind, man. You don't have to give us anything. I appreciate you. Have a can of Liquid Death. You know that's about what it costs here in the USA. Thanks so much. Much appreciated. I do appreciate it. Thank you. YouTube is one of the few places that pays us money. We actually have had such a strong winter and autumn that we clocked a bit of dough from it. And again, it all goes back into, I don't see a penny of this. It all goes back into the company. But anyhow, thank you so much, Ben. Appreciate it. Fart Sandwich is here. That's a curious name. Rebecca is here. Yeah. Yos Ba 7 is here. Is that Yusuf? Nice to see you. So, Kerry King can't help himself. They're on tour, and he had been planning this solo launch of Kerry King, the band, and this debut album From Hell I Rise, which did make our top 75 list of best albums of the year. And I quite liked it. I did a review of it here on the channel, and at the same exact week that the Slayer album was announced and the first single came out, Slayer had to announce their reunion of just a couple of shows for the year. They ended up only playing 2 of the 3 shows because Hurricane Helene kiboshed their day at Louder Than Life. I expect Slayer to be back at Louder Than Life and probably do a few more shows this year. They, the money is just too much. That's why they came back. But they're, Kerry has been giving a lot of interviews, including 2 new ones today. One interesting thing, he was like, I felt bad that the band was blindsided by the announcement, but it just kind of shook out that way. It was not planned. His solo career launch was planned for a very long time, years and years. And then the Slayer thing came together. Most of these festivals are usually booked a year in advance. So like Riot Fest is booked now for 2026. They're about to start announcing the bands for 2025, and they're already booking 26. All these Danny Wimmer festivals are booked a year in advance, sometimes more, because the biggest bands know their touring schedule. Other bands are forming their touring schedule around these festivals. Modemet Return is here. Hello. And Lee is here and Blank is here. And so the reason, Concrete's back. What up? And so the reason these festivals get announced and when they get announced is because, again, like these bands are trying to build their things, which is also why, like when Sick New World got canceled recently, we did a whole video on that, bands had to cancel their touring they had planned around the festival because the festival is very lucrative and will pay them to show up in advance and money for the performance played. But then also, if that festival's not happening, then they are possibly going to lose money on the tour. That's the current state of the world for touring. So Kerry felt bad. He had to keep it a secret. He knew Slayer was coming back at the very same time these parallel things are happening. Slayer is coming back to play some shows. Kerry King is launching a solo career. And it was unfortunate because the timing wasn't great. It definitely probably cannibalized his own stuff because, obviously, look, people want to hear Slayer. They want Slayer. They have wanted Slayer. A lot of people agree that Slayer retired too early. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So Kerry has given some interviews. And I thought about, like, he said again, he reiterated in this particular interview, this is the reason we're talking today, Slayer will not do full-fledged tours. Slayer will not make new music. I can guarantee it, he said. And when I think of Double Down, I think of this is an incredible photo from Riot Fest. Ghost Cult was able to cover the first show back from Riot Fest. And so this is a picture by Windy Brick Photography. You can go follow at Windy Brick on Instagram. And maybe some of the other things. Hopkins Law is here. First Law. Hopkins Law. What up? And Frank is here. Copus is here. But when I think of the Double Down, I think of the Double Down sandwich from KFC. It made a comeback last year after a couple of years being gone. That's right. When you take the way of the bun and you just make a sandwich made of chicken cutlets. We are in Fat City and not just an actual Fat City town. Somebody's here on Twitch. I appreciate you being here. Everybody watching on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, appreciate you all. So why Slayer? Why Kerry? Why? Kerry loves a microphone, man. He loves to talk and he loves to talk about himself and he can't help it. But he's also promoting, brand new album. He's about to kick off a U.S. tour, his first ever headline U.S. tour, a real tour, not a couple of shows around festivals to warm up. Their first show is here in the Bay Area, here in San Francisco at the Regency Ballroom on January 15th. I probably should have put the tour poster up in here. I did not. But that is with Municipal Waste and Alien Weaponry, who I believe are also about to announce a new album. Killer band Municipal Waste celebrating 25 years? 20 years? 25 years? And Kerry's a big fan. And he said he had played some festivals with Alien Weaponry and he liked them. Just for some housekeeping, we did announce the Ghost Cult Album of the Year this week. We reviewed 515 records, counting the last few that haven't run yet this year. We did about 600 last year, so we're a little bit below our number for this year, but we lost some writers, and honestly, I have been writing less and less reviews, just not enough time in the day to run the company, help run the company, do everything, and write reviews. I'd like to do more next year. I'm definitely doing less interviews than I used to, but we have other people on staff picking up the slack. But we ran our review. We did a huge video on our YouTube you can watch where a bunch of the staff and I broke down the top 40, but on our website, there's a bigger list of 75. And we probably could have published the whole list of every band that got voted on and earned a vote. But, I'm still pretty stoked. Every year it surprises me. We have like a very unique, diverse staff all over the world. People who cover music that don't necessarily write reviews, but they cover bands all the time. So they're hearing bands live and they're in music culture. So I think we have a pretty interesting staff. I think we have more reviewers than any other website, and I think we've reviewed more stuff than anybody else. Also, I just think that's a thing. I think we've definitely reviewed more than anyone else. So yeah, good times. And so you can check that out on our socials. You can check it out here on YouTube when you're done watching this video. You can check it out on our website while you're watching this video if you're a two-screen person. Robin Ortiz is here. Brandon is here. Amber is here. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for passing by. Appreciate you. And and then of course, again, if you're watching this in everywhere except TikTok, sorry, y'all on TikTok, you are seeing this via StreamYard. StreamYard is your one-stop source for streaming dominance. We have the ticker. We can have the comments up. We can have our little picture-in-picture that lets me have my little script so I know how to stay on track to do these live streams. I can see all the comments and interact with people except for a few places. And just overall has really helped us up our game in the last year and a half. We are an official affiliate partner of StreamYard. What does that mean? That means if you sign up with our link in the description, you get $10 off your subscription, and we get $10 off our next bill. So it's, again, a Dutch door situation, Dutch door action. So, it's a Dutch rudder. We take it. We like it. So Slayer, man. Slayer, just a recap. When Slayer announced their reunion, a meme that I had posted on our Instagram was quoted as the first sentence in the press release. Doesn't it seem like the whole world went to shit since Slayer retired? They reached out to me, their publicist, who's a world-famous publicist, one of the most legendary publicists in the game still, a legend of music. Jared is here. Eddie Giovanni Gracie is here. So Slayer quoted our meme in their press release, like, they're back. Does seem like the world went to shit since Slayer retired at the end of 2019. We had the plague, recession, insurrection against America, crazy shit in the world, man. Crazy shit in the world. Harambe, that was before. So I made this meme as a reaction to that meme and that announcement that the world we wanted is here. The future is here since Slayer is back. Kerry claims he was blindsided, but that's not completely accurate. I know he says he didn't know the dates were going to line up like that. Sorry about the siren. San Francisco's always got a San Francisco. I don't believe that's true. Dillinger Compound. I really believe like he knew, he just didn't know they were going to happen literally within a day of each other. I think the first single from Hell I Rise came out on satellite radio, Sirius XM here in America. I'm not sure where else they are in the world, if Canada or whatnot. And then the Slayer news came the next day, and we were all like, what? And one doesn't have to interfere with the other. Slayer is not doing even 10 dates. They probably will do 5 dates next year. If that would be a lot. I really don't think Tom in particular wants to play that much or tour. And I think Kerry is really focused on putting his solo band forward. So, but we know the facts. Slayer had announced their farewell tour. We had done a roundtable discussion about why they unretired and all the reasons why and what that means. Maybe we'll get a live album. Slayer hasn't really had never even did a live album or live DVD, live stream video from the farewell tour, which went on for multiple years. They had toured for several years straight. They released Repentless, which I liked and most people didn't like. Then they did 2 straight years, 2.5 years of a farewell tour, playing their final show at LA, November 30th, December 1st, 2019. And then they slinked off into the sunset. And, maybe Kerry, if the pandemic hadn't happened, maybe his record would have come out 2 years sooner. Maybe. So we did a whole discussion here on YouTube. And, you know, a lot of people feel like Slayer maybe died with Jeff Hanneman or died when Jeff Hanneman stopped being able to really perform with them. I'm not sure how many people watching this agree. I was a huge Jeff Hanneman fan. I think they did it right. They picked somebody that was their friend, that was capable. Gary Holt stepped in for Jeff and was incredible. The only thing I think I would have done differently is I would have let Gary co-write Slayer songs because he's incredible. His songwriting is almost unmatched looking at the Exodus catalog, and I think it would have helped and given them a little different sound. I get that the stick-to-itiveness of Kerry to just kind of like stay focused on his own brand. No Lombardo, no Slayer. A lot of people say no Lombardo, no Slayer. I love Paul Bostaff. I think he's very underrated, and I think we could do a whole episode. Otto Kinzel's here. What up, homie? We can do a whole episode just on the Lombardo story. And what I want to do is shout out a friend of Ghost Cults. I don't know if you guys are familiar with DX Ferris. I don't have my book handy. DX Ferris is the author of 2 books on Slayer and a book on the movie Goodfellas. The guy's a genius. And he's got a podcast called Talking Slayer, which you can check out right now. I'm hoping to have him as a guest of either or both the Ghost Cult podcast here, or possibly in the future the Glacially Musical Podcast, my other podcast about vinyl and beer. And DX is a guy where he's been he wrote the 33 and a third book on Slayer, and he wrote his own book on Slayer, and he's got a new version of that book and an audio version of that book coming out. So check out the podcast and check him out and check his stuff out. You can get his books on Amazon. DX Ferris, like DX, and Ferris, like Ferris Bueller or the Ferris wheel. Guy's a genius. He's great. He's been a supporter of ours. We've been a supporter of him. Was in my top books of the year a couple of years ago. Spider-Man is here. Skyline Snow is here. Ward Dutton is here. So a lot of people feel like Slayer ended with either Jeff or Dave. Now, I'm going to tell you, similar to the situation with Burton C. Bell and Fear Factory, Dave, who I love, and I'm hoping to get an interview with his wife Paula for their new romantic goth rock album, and from their new band Venomoris coming out in early 2025. You know, Dave made some mistakes. He made some mistakes. I think he maybe misjudged. You know, again, you see the acrimony, man. Like Junior David Ellefson came back into Megadeth, and Mustaine seemed to be waiting for an opportunity to just get rid of him again. And as soon as that whole thing blew up on him, we don't have to talk about it right now. Like, as soon as that whole situation exploded in his crotch, he was bumped from the band because Mustaine was just waiting for his opportunity to get rid of him, which sucks, man. And it's the same thing. I think I saw Slayer many times. At one point, Slayer was the band I saw the most until they retired, and then I saw Metallica like 8 more times. So now Metallica's way out in front of Slayer, and I didn't get to go see Slayer, even though they kind of played in my backyard in Sacramento. I'm in San Francisco. I didn't get to go to Aftershock, personal reasons, health reasons. But, Slayer's got a lot of clout, not just as one of the greatest thrash metal bands ever, or the greatest thrash metal band, or if you said they were the greatest metal band, I wouldn't disagree. Miss Frilly Knickers is here. And, hey, Tom, my name's Araya. Like, people name their kids after Slayer. There's a Ghost Cult writer whose child is named for Alice Cooper, by the way. Edward Champion 655 is here. So Slayer's got a cultural impact that goes far beyond the music. Here's a picture of Kerry. We covered Slayer all over the world for our whole history of Ghost Cult. I started out as a writer and a concert photographer. I photographed Slayer a few times. Like, here's Slayer in New Jersey. Like, here, I'll blow these up so you guys can see them. Sorry again, TikTok. You should come over to YouTube to enjoy this, or Twitch. Bravo Ho-Hos is here. Very festive. Here's Slayer in New Jersey. And here's Slayer in California. And here's Slayer in Connecticut. And here's Slayer again in Connecticut. And here's Slayer in Worcester or Hartford, we covered them all over the world. Here is Gary Holt shredding on stage with Slayer in Norway, where we covered them. Lombardo believes he wasn't compensated to the degree that Hanneman, King, and Araya were. That is correct, and I'll tell you why. If you really want to talk about it, I'll go there. And look at this photo. This is from Tons of Rock 2018, 2019. A pretty incredible crowd right in front of Slayer. I think this is a shot from the Ferris wheel. Good job. Omar, my partner at Ghost Cult, who went over to cover this festival. So, man, Slayer did that farewell tour. They did it hard. They had different sets of openers, Lamb of God, Anthrax and Testament, Phil Anselmo and the Illegals doing a Pantera set that was decent, not great, but decent. NYC Punk Rock is here. Hey, NYC Punk Rock, if you want a good recommendation for a band, check out The Challenged from Brooklyn. Those are homies of mine. Great new single out. So here, Dillinger, we'll wrap about this. So the long story short is Lombardo had been in and out of Slayer. He had actually quit Slayer after Rain in Blood for quite a few months. And they toured with the backup guy. I think it was Tony from Whiplash, the New Jersey thrash metal band. And then Dave came back in for the rest of that tour and for what would become South of Heaven. Then he was in the band again for a while. Then he quits again later. Fourth Media NYC is here. And, he quits and Bo Staff comes in for Divine Intervention. And, Lombardo had his issues. And the band had some acrimony. There's always been some drama between the guys. And Dave comes back in later on, and he had been divorced. And then I think, there's an issue where Dave's in a divorce. This happened again. It's very similar to what happened to Burton C. Bell. In a divorce, Lombardo's wife had a forensic accountant check out the Slayer finances because he was saying, look, I don't really make that much money from Slayer. And the truth is, Slayer's management to this day continues to be Rick Sales. I don't know if you're familiar with Rick Sales' management, has management over Ghost and Gojira and Mastodon and many other bands. And they have a deal where Rick was originally the Slayer tour manager for Rain in Blood and then ended up becoming their manager. And I don't know, over the many years negotiated like a humongous cut for himself. And he makes like 70, 80% of the Slayer money and the band guys get the rest. And so once Dave quit the first time, when they brought in Paul is really an employee. I don't think Paul has a full share of the Slayer money other than royalties from stuff he's recorded. And Jeff and Kerry and Tom were Slayer Incorporated. Every band, I know I talked about this in the Alice in Chains stream. I did get quite a lot of interesting, I don't know if you guys have been following these. Dillinger, you've been here every day. And, again, I rely on my everydayers like Stephanie and Dillinger Compound to check me. I had quite a lot of negative comments about my video on Alice in Chains and quite a lot of negative comments on my interview on Finn McKenty. So, like, if you guys think I'm out of step here, if I'm out of order somehow, tell me. But I think, everybody else is doing these videos. I didn't rush to do a Finn judgmental video. I had did some research and discussed it a bit. And I think I did a pretty good job there. People rushed out some clickbait ass shit for hundreds of thousands and millions of views. Fantano's video on Finn McKenty has like 1 million views almost. It's like, oh, I don't have his following, but I thought I had a different interesting point of view to discuss him, and I'm not bagging on the guy. So Lombardo's wife does the forensic accounting about Slayer and finds out that Dave is actually, in fact, getting paid very little. And when he came back in the band in the 2000s, he was a contractor. He, like Testament, is really only owned by Chuck, Billy, and Eric Peterson, and maybe Skolnick. But really, I think Skolnick, DiGiorgio, and whoever's on drums, those guys are all employees. They're highly paid employees, but they're employees. I think Anthrax is really Scott, Charlie, Frankie, and maybe Joey, but it's very possible that Joey is also not a vested member of Anthrax anymore, except for his royalties. So you have to understand how it's the music business. It's not the music friendship. I coined that phrase many years ago, and I'll stand by it. And it's possible that Lombardo was making like $300-400 a week, which is very pitiful for a legendary guy in a legendary band, but that's how it was. So where do we go? God listens to Slayer. So Kerry gave several interviews this week. I would love to talk to Kerry someday, but this particular one, Metal Sucks quoted this interview with him, and I will see if I can pull it up and read some of it to you. I struggle a little bit with this thing. Let's find out. The Hermit In Grennan is here. Wiley is here. Bones is here. Heath passed by. Austin is here. So let's see. I've almost got it. Boom, 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 boom. Share screen. Window. Here we go. Kerry King says Slayer will never tour again. So why is he doubling down and just repeating this stuff over and over? I like that he's wearing his own Kerry King shirt. He's not wearing a Slayer shirt. This is on Metal Sucks, and I don't make it a whole habit of reading all the stuff of our competitors. Mr. Professor is here. Richie is here. Vidya V is here. Rob Vocals is here. We got a lot of people who have popped in on the gram and TikTok. I appreciate you. So what does this say? I'm going to hide this for a second here, Dillinger. We're never going to tour again. We're never going to make a record again. Mark my word. Singular. We're never going to make a record again. We're never going to tour again. That's because that was the last thing we said back in 2018. This is our final tour. It took 5 years to come and say, hey, here's a couple of shows, 5-year anniversary. So, okay, man, we're marking your word. This interview was with Metal Ruse, which is an Australian metal blogger and show booker. I had a phone call with this guy a while back during the pandemic. He's put on metal events all over the world. I think it was like there's a World Metal Day that Metal Ruse was responsible for. So Kerry's got a big headline tour coming up and basically a whole year of touring booked, which means anytime Slayer's going to play, we'll have to be in between this. So Kerry King US tour starts in January at the Regency Ballroom right here, literally 10 minutes from my house. Going through the rest of January, Spokane, Seattle, Portland, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Canada, mostly Western. Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Detroit, Cleveland, Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Philly, New York, Baltimore, Atlanta, St. Petersburg, Florida, Houston, Austin, Dallas, Denver, Albuquerque, Phoenix, Vegas, LA. And then there's a big break, in which case Slayer can play all these festivals if they want to. And then Europe next summer. And then I believe they also have some shows in Europe, in the UK as well. But they have all the metal festivals next summer. Frankfurt, some headline shows, Frankfurt, Wien, Transylvania, Zurich, Czech Republic at Brutal Assault Festival, Dortmund, Alcatraz Festival, that's also Belgium, Manchester for a headline tour. So Manchester, Bristol, those two shows in the UK are going to be opened by Fear Factory. We reported that. And then Dynamo Festival, which we just covered this last summer, and Toron Arena Krakow playing with Gojira, maybe even opening for Gojira. That's crazy. Then they gave another interview. I don't have to read the whole thing. They gave another interview from our friends over at Metal Insider. Pretty good website I'm a fan of. And their interview had a couple of other interesting nuggets. I don't have to paraphrase or read the whole thing, but one thing I will say is that Kerry talked about how happy he is making this solo music, that he knew Slayer was never going to make a full comeback and that he really needed to scratch this itch, that the last few years he wasn't focused on performing anymore. He just kind of sat at home and riffed in a chair and wrote and produced and demoed songs and traded ideas back and forth, but it wasn't the same energy as Slayer, but actually he's revitalized and has basically, I don't think he said this anywhere else, an entire whole new album of material ready to go back in the studio and pump out yet another Kerry King record. It will not be a long wait, apparently, for another record. Will it be 2025? Unlikely, probably, but maybe end of the year, beginning of 2026, new Kerry King. Like I said, I predicted previously that Slayer would come back and just do festivals, and the money has to be good for them to kind of unretire and just do a handful of shows. And the set list was not a surprise. They played basically the same set list everybody expected to, with a few rare things. They basically played the same set twice. They definitely would have played it a third time. Personally, if I was coming back, I would change it up and play some stuff we never played before, but that's me. But that's kind of what it is. see Slayer now. You never saw them before. Here's your chance. Here's your chance. But I thought those 2 points from the Metal Insider interview were really cool. And, you know, I think it's interesting that he feels recharged more by his solo career than Slayer. And, you know, he has said previously he had no relationship with Tom in this 5 years, never a text, never anything. Maybe the wives talk, but maybe nothing. Hugo, wait. Hey, Hugo, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. I think I will be here for a live stream tomorrow, and I may very well do a Christmas Day live stream. I'm not sure yet. But I might be here. What would you like to see? I didn't do the live stream I was going to do today, and then I had an idea that I would do a live stream about top best and worst metal Christmas songs and do something around that. But so Kerry, you know, says, look, I'm not coming back. But Slayer's not coming back, but I'm back. And he talked about how pumped he is about his band, playing with Phil Demmel, why he picked Mark Ossageda and not Philip. These are all old. This is all old information, but I think it's pretty cool. Mark is great. I didn't get to see Death Angel last year at their Christmas shows, but Mark is always top notch. I actually shot this photo back when I was photographing Slayer back in like 2010, the flaming War Eagle. And you might be cool, but you've never been as cool as me eating a boat of nachos while watching Slayer play Angel of Death at Chicago Open Air, now defunct festival in 2017. This was a birthday greeting. Somebody sent to me this picture of me. I have a tissue in my hand. I got your nose. I have a tissue and a boat of nachos that were so messy I needed a fork or a spoon. And yeah, it was pretty fun. It was a great memory. I have many great Slayer memories. I saw that Slayer farewell tour 3 times. Let me know if you saw Slayer on that farewell tour. If you've never seen Slayer and you want to see Slayer, you will get a chance, I think, in the next couple of years. They can't go forever. I don't think the interest will be there forever, probably. And again, Tom physically beat up. I don't think he wants to do it. But, you know, in the meantime, if Kerry fills in these Kerry King albums and tours with a huge payday to do Slayer shows, who's going to begrudge the guy? I'm certainly not going to be mad at it. We've talked many times. Where are these headline bands? Where are these headline bands going? Where are they going to go? Who will be next? Again, talked about the album of the year this year. We see like the passing of the torch between the older bands and the newer bands. And some of the older bands, like I said, Metallica, I did a whole video, a live stream on Metallica, slowing down, just like there's no way to avoid it. They played 2 times the shows in 2023 that they played in 2024. They will play the same number of shows in 2025. What will they do in 2026? I don't know. I don't know if Metallica is going to be here in 10 more years. I don't think Slayer will be here in 10 more years. Iron Maiden will not be here in 10 more years. I think they probably will finish touring in 2026, and that will be it. For me, I'd prefer Phil reconvene with Scour than Kerry King. Yeah, of course. I think it was actually like the Pantera reunion was good for a lot of different things, not just Pantera reunion. Don't get mad at me. I think it was better that I know for years it was talked about that Philip and Gary Holt were going to be in Kerry's band. And I think it was actually better that they weren't, especially if he wasn't going to let Gary write in Slayer. He definitely wasn't going to let him compose more than solos in the Kerry King solo stuff. Phil is awesome. He's the Swiss Army knife guy. And Phil Demmel does not want to tour that much anymore. He's too busy with his family and his businesses. And he wants to, sporadically be available to tour. And I'm so pumped about the Scour record. And like I said, I'm excited for more Pantera shows. I do think we will get a Pantera live album of this era, which, again, I'm still waiting for the Pantera live concert video from the end of their career with the brothers. And I personally love that Scour's there, and I want to hear more from N Minor at some point in the future. I think that's, Philip could do that for a long time. And we're going to get Down, at least a Down EP, if not an album. I'm bummed they kept arguing about a covers EP, and then they were like, just screw it. Let's write a whole new album. Amazing. But yeah, I think, we're better off for it. I think it would have been too obvious. Don't do the most obvious thing. Mark is extremely underrated. Listen, I love Slayer and I love Tom, and I've been a fan of Tom's the whole way. And Mark is a superior singer. Like, no one's going to argue that Mark is one of the best singers in all of metal, because he can do the brutal stuff and the heavy metal stuff. And he didn't try to be Tom. He came in and Kerry let him be himself and really forge his own path with the vocals. He didn't tell him sound like Tom or sound like this. He let Mark do what Mark does, and Mark is wonderful. I had the pleasure of seeing, after we just had the 3-year anniversary of the Metallica 40th anniversary shows in San Francisco that I saw both of. And Kirk Hammett's wedding band, which is his covers band that features Robert Trujillo and Mark Osageda on vocals, Whitfield Crane of Ugly Kid Joe and formerly of Life of Agony on vocals, and Doc Coyle on rhythm guitar, and Kirk on lead and rhythm, and some other players. And Mark can do metal. They were doing heavy metal covers. They were doing thrash metal covers. They did like R&B songs, Jungle Boogie by Kool and the Gang, and Mark literally could do it all. So I like the Kerry King record. I thought it was really good, about as good or better than Repentless. I really liked Repentless. I seem to be the only reviewer that gave Repentless a fair shake. I like that record a lot. Again, I think it would have been even better, taken over the top, if Gary had been allowed to contribute a little more. But that's just me. If I have a tiger, let it out of the cage and let it do tiger things instead of just keeping it caged. You know what I'm saying? Dark Angel, I know. Dark Angel has already, been working on that new album and touring. I did see Dark Angel up here in the Bay Area last year. I have also been waiting for the new Dark Angel. And remember that Gene Hoglan basically quit Testament to focus on Dark Angel and Death Clock. I believe those Death Clock shows were so successful. Shannon Mayberry is here. And Greg Terry is here. Hello. Let's get back to the gram. I'm not sure who's still here. Hey, Stephanie says the first time I saw Slayer was in Clash of the Titans. You were 8 years old. That is crazy. That is just so crazy, Stephanie. Helio Camara is here. Karaoke with Danny. Hey, I'm going to see you in a little while, Dana. That's where I go sing my karaoke. I was practicing my set list earlier. I probably went a little too hard on the Christmas stuff here at my house. But so, yeah, just talking about why Kerry King loves to give interviews and talk the same stuff over and over. But yeah, Dark Angel, it will definitely be like one of the biggest reunions of next year. Forbidden is the one I'm really waiting for. I think everybody knows what a huge Forbidden fan I am. I did not think it was possible for the band to come back without Russ Anderson officially, but they did. Norman Skinner is the singer. He is from a local band called Niviane and a couple of other things. Guy's got an incredible set of pipes. He can do all the brutal stuff, all the operatic stuff. They got a great band there. And my man, Craig LaCicero, I will likely talk to him again. I interviewed him a few times the last few years for different things. Gene Hoglan's wife and the Dark Angel bassist also. That's correct. Newcomb. I don't know if you've seen it. We have a huge interview with Gene Hoglan on our channel, like a 2-hour interview with Gene. Gene was so gracious with his time. I don't know, when the bands talk to me, they're like, what time is this shit over? And when they talk to Omar, they love talking to him, and they'll just go. He talked to the Tardy brothers from Obituary for like an hour. We got a Bobby Blitz interview for an hour. Dirk Verburen interview went very long. We got Dirk to do like a little announcer for our podcast. Hey, this is Dirk Verburen of Megadeth, and you're hanging with GhostCultMag.com. I was like, that's really nice of him. I go back with Dirk back when he was with Soilwork. We go all the way back with him. He's wonderful. And his wife is one of the best concert photographers in the world, Hannah Verburen. So lots of stuff going on. I thought today, I wasn't going to necessarily jam on and talk about Slayer, but I thought what an interesting day for him, for interviews to run with him, I guess, ahead of, following up on the Australian tour, ahead of his North American tour. But yeah, super interesting. I know, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. He barely had time to edit that album in a year interview, round table. He barely had time. He was on the road for a few weeks. He was the drum tech for God Forbid last weekend in California, and he flew home. He went right to work from the airport when he flew back to New York City. So I think he dropped off his luggage and he went right to work. So I'm glad we got some stuff out from him. We have a few more interviews, probably going to run in early 2025 from 24. And we're starting to do already some new interviews for next year. And I think it's a good thing the Slayer is coming back for a few more shows. I think it's good that Kerry is around. I'm excited to see Kerry do a headline tour and see what that's like. How will it be different? How will it be the same? I haven't really done a live concert review here on the channel. Hey, Anubis is here. What up, Anubis? I haven't really done a live concert review here on the channel, but maybe that's a thing. I have done some album reviews. I have some early 2025 albums that are coming out that I'm going to try to get done early, listen to them early, record an interview or record a review early, and have Omar edit them and professionally post them instead of just live stream them. But we've been trying to do this live. I think the general loose plan is I'm going to try to live stream every day until the 1st. And then after that, all bets are off. I don't know what I'll be able to do in 26, but at least a few a week. These have been fun. Some of them have paid off and been very beneficial. And some of them, like I said, the comments have been awful. And again, if you watch those live streams that I did about Finn McKenty or about Alice in Chains, Alice in Chains is one of my favorite bands. I didn't want to slag them. Somebody in the comments was like, why are you shitting on the bands now? I thought you loved music. I do love music. And I'm not shitting on the bands. I'm just calling out sometimes when something's not right. Just like I said, I'm going to call out my peers when they report stuff badly. Like I think a lot of that Finn McKenty stuff was piling on for clicks and not very well researched or reported. But that's just me. This is what I do. This is what I love to do. So yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to go have some dinner, and then I'm going to go scream my balls off at karaoke. I'm going to probably not scream my balls off today because I'm going to do some Christmas songs. But practicing my Sinatra, boo, 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 strangers in the night. And yeah, man, anybody that's got some, again, if you've got some comments about Slayer, fucking Slayer. If you got some comments about Slayer, please check out the DX Ferris podcast and books. Talking Slayer. That guy is opposite of me. He's absolutely no nonsense, no bullshit, just talking about Slayer and no extra anything. Like he does not give a shit, which is really what you need, honestly, when you're going to talk about Slayer. So I'm Keefe from ghostcoldman.com. If you've been here, thanks for being here. I see, again, some of our everydayers were here. I much appreciate y'all. And feel free to check out our album of the year stuff. Let me hit that NYC. Slayer's a club band, 1,500 people max. Those festivals are ridiculous. Well, again, the demand was there. Riot Fest headliners make upwards of $1 million to play the festival. We gave away a pair of VIP tickets for Riot Fest to see Slayer's come back, and it was quite a lot of money to get VIP tickets for Slayer. So I don't think Slayer's a club band, but maybe Kerry is a club band or a theater band. And he opened on that tour with Mastodon and Lamb of God, right? He was the opener, one of the openers. So take that for what it's worth. These are tough times, and the only way some of these bands can tour is a package tour for a lot of money, for $60 to $80 per ticket, not counting the ticket shafter fees. But that's our show. I'm going to bounce. Thanks for being here once again. I am Keefe. You've been awesome. Check out ghostcoldmag.com and all our socials for all the stuff. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.